So, all right, let's start with this. It's funny. I'm reading an article last night. It was really, really fascinating from Jasmine Jordan, the daughter of Michael. And the more I read the article, Chris, Michael is a private person in a public business, whereas LeBron is a public social person in a public business. And the more I really started to appreciate Michael during this documentary, that this burden on him, Chris, he was, not every artist wants to be a celebrity, but they become a celebrity because they're a great artist. And your kind of takeaway on watching this, that Michael really coveted, maybe that's why he likes golf. It's exclusive and he can hide from people. But the difference between Michael and LeBron in their personalities, your thoughts?
No, I think that's a great point. And, I'm in touch with Michael Jordan and I text with him a lot. And you can't imagine how many times I've asked him to do an interview and he just wouldn't do it publicly because he really doesn't want to be put back in the spotlight. And I texted him during this whole thing and I said, look, you must feel like it's 1997 all over again. And he gave me a comment that's like, yeah, and I'm not really enjoying it either. So they really are totally different personalities. You hit it on the head. Michael Jordan signed up to play basketball. Obviously, he liked making the money from the endorsements and things like that as well. But he just wanted to play basketball. LeBron James is a completely different personality. And in LeBron's upbringing, his coach is, when he was younger, Drew Joyce, who was LeBron was a friend of their families. Drew Joyce taught LeBron from the age of 10 or 11, use the game of basketball to get what you want. Don't let the game of basketball use you. And that's what LeBron has done. And obviously, he loves playing basketball, but he's used his greatness at basketball to start up, to become a business mogul and to start schools and, to set up his childhood friends and put them in position to be moguls in their own right. And he obviously also, Colin, he loves the spotlight. He's on the social media. He's just a gregarious personality. And Jordan was away from the camera, as you're seeing in The Last Dance. But in front of the camera, Jordan was kind of just all business. I'm taking care of business. This is what I got to do. I do it with a smile. But LeBron it's a part of his life. And maybe some of it, too, is that LeBron's been in this world since he was 16 years old. On the cover of Sports Illustrated, best player in the country. He's grown up with this. Michael Jordan was a late bloomer and really didn't grow up in the spotlight.
Two other issues. I disagree with Shaq when he said, cancel the season, it'll need an asterisk. And to that I say, during the pandemic, everybody's life is an asterisk. We're doing things we've never done before. What was your take on Shaq's opinion?
Yeah, I disagree with Shaq because my main thing is everybody's playing by the same rules. If they have a 3-game first-round series, a 5-game second-round series, or whatever it may be, everybody's doing it. It's not like the Clippers have an advantage that the Lakers don't, or the Bucks have an advantage that the two LA teams don't. They all are disadvantaged equally. And part of being a professional is keeping yourself in shape, mentally being able to overcome obstacles. And these are great obstacles to overcome. And we're going to see. Maybe some of these guys can't play as well in an empty arena.
Yeah.
Maybe some guys thrive in that. That's a part of being a professional, though, adjusting to different circumstances. So I don't think there'll be an asterisk at all.
So the NBA star players had a meeting the other day, a phone call, Zoom or whatevs, and James Harden was noticeable by his absence. Now, Chris Paul's the head of the Players Association. Don't think he and Harden are all tight.
I was about to say, don't brush over that. Don't just brush over that. That's probably the main factor.
So I'm going to defend Harden later, but I'm going to give you the first shot. Defend Harden, if you would, on this. Is he, because there are going to be stories. Nobody likes James Harden. Your takeaway.
No, I think you cannot dismiss the fact that Chris Paul runs the Players Associations, what obviously was instrumental in putting this call together. his relationship with James Harden, we know it's not good. I think that's the main reason Harden was not on that call. Also, if you look at it, they took one player from a team. Not every team, obviously, but no team had more than one player. Anthony Davis, they could have got him on there. He's certainly a player of the caliber of everybody else on that call, but he wasn't on it because you had LeBron representing the Lakers. Also, several of the players, if we want to say, well, Harden's not really a leader, that's why he wasn't on the call. Harden's not going to win big, that's why he wasn't on the call. Westbrook is a great player. I think he's a leader in terms of example and loyalty to his team and teammates, but he's not going to lead a team to a championship. And there are other players on that as well. Kawhi Leonard is a leader by example, but doesn't speak much even around his teammates. So I don't think it had anything to do with any, character traits or qualities that James Harden has or does not have. I think mainly it was the fact that Chris Paul helped organize the call and, he and James don't really get along. And they said, we can get another Rocket. We'll get Russell Westbrook.
By the way, 90 seconds on this. ESPN came out with a list. It's all-time best players. MJ 1, LeBron 2. Nice list. I pretty much agreed with it. Any problem with you on that list?
My major problem is that Isaiah Thomas was ranked 31st, and he was like the 6th or 7th highest point guard. I think he's right there behind Magic, Oscar, Steph as far as point guards go all time. So I think he should have been a little higher. I think Kevin Durant also should have joined Steph Curry in the top 15. And those were I would have put those two, Steph and Durant, ahead of Jerry West on that list. I think Steph was already ahead of him.
But you're a Michael 1, LeBron 2 guy.
Yes. And Kareem 3. They got that right. I would not have had Bill Russell that high. And with all due respect to the great Bill Russell, I would have had him lower in the top 10. Russell obviously is the greatest winner we've ever seen with 11 rings, but his individual numbers, 15 points a game, 44% shooting, I think he's behind Kareem, Shaq, and Wilt when it comes to centers. So I think he's fourth among centers.
Yeah, Russell gets very prickly if you say he's behind Wilt. He does not like that.
He did beat Wilt a lot.
Yeah.
But Wilt would give him like 30 and 28 every time.
He did.
And lose.
Good talking to you, Chris. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
Interesting story. James Harden wasn't on a call with other NBA superstars this week. Chris Paul, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Kawhi, Steph, Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook. Noticeably absent on the call was James Harden, CP3, head of the Players Association. They don't really get along. Let me defend James Harden on this. James Harden... And I've been watching the NBA for 40 years. And there's always been a James Harden. He's going to go down as a great scorer. Is he a winner? Is he a leader? When you watch the NBA for 40 years, there's always been a James. Back in the 70s, it was a guy named George Gervin. He had a poster. He had a nickname. He had his own shot, the finger roll. He had 5 times he was all-NBA first team. 4-time scoring champ. No titles. Wasn't all his fault, but no titles. And then in the early 2000s, we had Allen Iverson. No titles, but scoring titles. Both Gervin and Allen Iverson were beloved, street cred. But they were sort of like independent solo acts, right? They were like, if they were politicians, they'd be libertarians. They weren't on either side. And that's what I appreciate about James Harden. He's sort of this independent, solo act. He's going to go down as an all-time great player, and that is a great legacy. Like, not everybody that's successful was popular in high school. Like, there's always the kid that's a little off or a little different, goes his own path. That is James Harden. He didn't go to Duke. He didn't go to Kansas. He wasn't good enough to come out of high school and go to the pros. He went to Arizona State. He started on the bench. First team traded him. And then he just kind of became this incredible player who's into fashion, into scoring, does his own thing, kind of ball-centric. Style doesn't necessarily work in the postseason. But he's going to be a top 50 all-time player, and he's going to be a top 10 all-time scorer. And that is a great thing to be. We tend to forget there were sports before we were alive and existed, or sports before we watched. I've seen James Harden. It's called George Gervin. Alex English had a little bit of this. Allen Iverson had a lot of this. And it's a great legacy to have. George Gervin was cool. The Iceman. The poster. I had it on my wall. I loved George Gervin. I didn't care that he didn't win titles. It's funny. We spend so much time talking about titles now. And it's because Michael Jordan was so great. We demand that you not only win titles, you win them every time you go. Jerry West, his nickname is Mr. Clutch. He'll be on our show Monday, by the way. Jerry West's nickname, Mr. Clutch. I could be wrong on this, but I think the first 10 times he went to the finals, he lost. And he was the logo. He was Mr. Clutch. Bill Russell had 7. How many? Bill Russell had like 11 titles, 11 titles. We didn't call him Mr. Clutch. We called Jerry West Mr. Clutch. But Michael Jordan, of course, changed all that. It's okay being James Harden. He's an all-time scorer, an all-time independent solo act, and his legacy is going to be fantastic. Piles of money, lots of scoring titles, and that's okay. So yesterday, the NBA announced they were changing the game ball, which is kind of like a big deal, right?
Right.
So for years, they had Spalding, and now they're going to Wilson. Like they're changing. This is
It's big news.
Big deal. Now, my first thought was, wait a minute. Russell Wilson is losing a teammate. Because remember what Russell Wilson said when people asked him about Russell Westbrook, about getting along with players in the NBA. And Russell Westbrook said this.
This is how it goes. When I hoop, I have no friends. On the court, they know not to talk to me, but Steven's a real close friend of mine. But on inside those lines, there's no friends. Spalding, that's my friend.
He lost a friend. He lost a teammate. So I thought I'd go back and look at some of the teammates Russell Westbrook has lost and how they've done since. Let's start with James Harden. Now, James Harden, when he was with Russell Westbrook, first 3 seasons, averaged 16, 17 a game. He left, went to Houston, and became the most dominant scorer in the NBA. So that teammate did very good. Let's go to Serge Ibaka. 7 years with Westbrook. Averaged 11.5 points a game. He's now averaging 14.5 points a game this year with Toronto. So far, the teammates that he loses do okay. Kevin Durant, 8 years, Westbrook, very, very good player. Nobody would deny that. He left. Many believed he became the best player in the NBA. I thought he was second. So that teammate did okay. Domantas Sabonis spent the first season in Oklahoma City with Westbrook. Remember him? He was from Gonzaga. Very good rebounder. Dad was Arvydas Sabonis. Averaged 5.5 points a game and 3 rebounds in Oklahoma City. Is now averaging 18.5 and is an all-star without his friend Westbrook. So teammates are doing pretty well. Victor Oladipo, 1 year with Westbrook. Now, Oladipo, his points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, went down from the previous season in Orlando. Then he joined Westbrook. They all went down. Then he left. He made the All-Star team his first 2 seasons without Westbrook. So far, the teammates are doing okay. Paul George, 2 years, Westbrook, OKC. Numbers went down first year with OKC. Westbrook, Paul George went on to win 3 playoff games, 3 in 2 years combined. This season, we don't know, but his numbers are up, and many believe the Clippers are the first, second, or third best team in the league. That's undecided. Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's go to the team. Westbrook, first 11 years with OKC. Last season, big trade with Chris Paul. Thunder have been the biggest surprise, I think we'd both agree, in the NBA this year. Houston Rockets. Westbrook reunites with Harden last year. Rockets are the 6th seed in the West if the playoffs started today. Despite his talent, only 1 game better with Westbrook and Harden together. And finally, the ball. Well, the ball. Westbrook leads the NBA in touches over the last 4 years. And the ball, his friend Spalding, got fired. Probably be an all-star next year in some other league. Is this coming off as way too harsh?
I feel like there's some generalizations and, circumstances
It
involved
does
in some
appear
of
that
these situations.
It does appear when you leave Westbrook you do pretty well. Is that unfair?
Well, I don't know how well Spalding's going to do after this, but
all right. Yeah, Spalding's shooting percentage will go up. I mean, that's a given.